Hello everyone, welcome to this video. So in this video, we shall continue discussing properties of Riemann-Stieltjes integrable functions. Right. So the theorem statement is that f be a bounded real valued function on the closed interval a comma b, and alpha be a monotonically increasing function on the closed interval a comma b. If f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable on closed interval a comma b, then the function modulus of f will also be Riemann-Stieltjes integrable on the closed interval a comma b, where the function modulus of f is defined as modulus of f of x is modulus of x is modulus of f of x. So whenever f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable, the function modulus of f is also Riemann-Stieltjes integrable. And further, we have to prove the absolute value of the Riemann-Stieltjes integral is less than or equal to integral of the modulus of f. So this is what we have to prove. So proof. So what is given first of all? So given f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable on closed interval a comma b, and initially it is given bounded also, right? So now since f is bounded on the closed interval a comma b, so there exist reals small m and capital M such that so f of x lies in between small m and capital M. So for all x varying over a comma b, right? Since f is bounded, so a function is bounded in the sense, so the range, so all the images has to be bounded. So say it is bounded below by small m and bounded above by capital M. So that is all the f of x values are in the range small m capital M for all x varying over the closed interval a comma b. So for all the domain points, f of x are in the range small m capital M. They are in the closed interval small m capital M. So then we can see that f is a mapping of closed interval a comma b into closed interval small m capital M, right? Because so for all x varying over closed interval a comma b, so f of x's are in the closed interval small m capital M. So all the images are in this one. So we can regard f as a mapping of closed interval a comma b into this interval. So that is symbolically f is a mapping of closed interval a comma b into closed interval small m capital M, right? Now we shall define a new function phi on the codomain of f. So phi is a real valued function on the closed interval small m capital M, which contains the images of f. So we shall define it by, so for every x in closed interval small m capital M, phi of x is defined to be, or shall we change the variable? So phi of t is defined to be modulus of t. So for all t varying over the closed interval small m capital M, then we observe that phi is continuous on the closed interval small m capital M, because we know that modulus function is a continuous function, right? Now recall a result which you have initially proved. Suppose f is a Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function on some closed interval a comma b, and suppose f varies over the closed interval small m and capital M. Phi is a continuous function on the range small m capital M, and h of x, if I define h of x to be phi composition f of x, that is phi of f of x for all x varying over the closed interval a comma b, then the composition function h is also Riemann-Stieley integrable on the closed interval a comma b. So recall this result. So this result says that, so when we compose a Riemann-Stieley integrable function with the continuous function, then the resulting function is also Riemann-Stieley integrable function. That is, we are composing a Riemann-Stieley integrable function with the continuous function. F is Riemann-Stieley integrable and phi is a continuous function with suitable domain and codomain. Then phi composition F, which will be Riemann-Stieley integrable. Now here, so F is a Riemann-Stieley integrable function from closed interval a comma b to closed interval m comma m. So here we can observe that. So now F is a function from, so just it is a rough work. So closed interval a comma b to closed interval small m capital M. So from here to here we have a Riemann-Stieley integrable function, and from closed interval m to capital M to R we have a continuous function phi. So if we composite these two, right? So we can composite these two, as F is Riemann-Stieley integrable function and phi is a continuous function. So their composition will be once again a Riemann-Stieley integrable function, right? So just we shall use it. So now, since F is Riemann-Stieley integrable on the closed interval a comma b with f of x varying between small m and capital M on closed interval a comma b, and phi from closed interval small m capital M to R is continuous. We have the composition function phi composite F. So if I take it as h of x, so it is phi of f of x. So so for any x varying over the closed interval a comma b, f of x will be in the range small m capital M. That means f of x will be in the domain of phi. So for any point in this range, phi of x is, or phi of t is equal to be its modulus, right? So phi of f of x is modulus of f of x, or it is nothing but modulus of f of x, which is for all x varying over the closed interval a comma b. So which will be Riemann-Stieley integrable on the closed interval a comma b. So that is h equals modulus of f. So h of x is modulus of f of x. So is Riemann-Stieley integrable on closed interval a comma b. So which proves a part of the theorem. We proved that assuming f is Riemann-Stieley integrable function, modulus of f is also Riemann-Stieley integrable on the closed interval a comma b. So now further to prove the inequality which is given in the question. So to prove this inequality, so we shall start with the left hand side. So consider the absolute value of the Riemann-Stieley integral of f. So we know that for any real x, modulus of x has two values. It is plus x or minus x. If x is positive, modulus of x is x, and if x is negative, modulus of x is minus of x. So we don't know what is this real number. So absolute value will be either Riemann-Stieley integral of f, or it will be minus of Riemann-Stieley integral of f. So I can write this as it is plus 1 times of this number or minus 1 times of this number. So it is plus or minus 1 times. So, or I can write like this. So it is plus 1 times of the Riemann-Stieltjes integral, or it is minus 1 times the Riemann-Stieltjes integral, right? So it is either plus 1 times or minus 1 times. So I'll denote it by C. So it will be C times the Riemann-Stieltjes integral, where C is plus 1 or minus 1, plus 1 or minus 1. So now take the constant C inside the integral. So it will be integral C into F d alpha over the closed interval a comma b. Now consider CF of x. So CF of x. So it is always less than or equal to its absolute value, right? We know that. So because for any real number x, x is always less than or equal to modulus of x. So now for any x varying over the closed interval a comma b, consider CF of x. It will be always less than or equal to its absolute value. So it is CF of x is C into F of x, right? So it is modulus of C into modulus of f of x, or it is modulus of C into modulus of f of x. So CF of x is equal to modulus of C into modulus of f of x. So which is true for all the x values. It is true for all the x values. So I can replace the function CF by modulus of C into modulus of f, because these two functions work in the same way. So function C into f is nothing but the function modulus of C into modulus of f, but it is less than or equal to this one. So as CF of x is less than or equal to modulus of C into modulus of f of x for all x, so this integral will be less than or equal to modulus of C into modulus of f d alpha from a to b. Right now, where C is plus 1 or minus 1, right? Where C is plus 1 or minus 1. So as C is either plus 1 or minus 1, modulus of C will be our plus 1 only. So it will be simply modulus of f d alpha over the closed interval a comma b. So we started with the absolute value of the Riemann-Stieltjes integral of f, and we showed that it is less than or equal to this one. So that is modulus of Riemann-Stieltjes integral of f is less than or equal to the integral of modulus of f d alpha over the closed interval a comma b. So which completes the theorem. So which completes the theorem of the proof. Now, the next theorem, let f and g be bounded real valued functions on the closed interval a comma b, and alpha be any monotonically increasing function on the closed interval a comma b. Now, if f is a Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function on the closed interval a comma b, and g is also a Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function on the closed interval a comma b, then f into g is also a Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function on the closed interval a comma b. That is, product of two Riemann-Stieltjes integrable functions is again a Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function. So it is a simple proof. So what is given first of all? So given f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable on the closed interval a comma b, and g is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable on closed interval a comma b. Now first, with the assumption that f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable, first let us prove that f square is also a Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function on closed interval a comma b. So assuming f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable, we shall prove f square is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable. So for that, since f is given to be bounded on the closed interval a comma b, so it means the images have bound. So a function is bounded means the set of all images have lower bound and upper bound. So that is, there exist reals, say small m and capital M, such that so f of x lies in between small m and capital M for all x varying over the closed interval a comma b. So or equivalently I can see, so as x varies over the closed interval a comma b, so f of x lies in the range closed interval small m capital M, right? So that shows that, so for all x in the closed interval a comma b, f of x are mapped into the closed interval capital small m capital M. So that is, then we can analyze this as f is mapping of closed interval a comma b into closed interval small m capital M, because for all points in the closed interval a comma b, their images are mapped into this closed interval. So we can regard this as the domain and this as the codomain. That is, symbolically we can regard f as a mapping of closed interval a comma b into closed interval small m capital M. So closed interval a comma b is the domain of f and closed interval small m capital M is the codomain of f, right? Now we shall define a new function on the codomain of f. So consider the codomain of f to be the domain of phi, which is a real valued, and we define it by, so phi of t is t square for all t varying over the closed interval small m capital M. So then being a polynomial function, it is continuous. Then phi is continuous on the closed interval small m capital M, right? So now f from closed interval a comma b to small m capital M. So we can write like this. So now f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable on the closed interval a comma b with f of x's are in the range small m capital M on the closed interval a comma b, and phi is a function on the closed interval small m capital M, which is continuous. So f is a function from closed interval a comma b to small m capital M, closed interval small m capital M, and phi is a continuous function from closed interval small m capital M to R. So hence we have the composition. Hence the composition function phi composition f is also a Riemann-Stieltjes integrable on the closed interval a comma b. So once again we are using the same previous result. Composition of a Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function with a continuous function will give you once again a Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function. So H being composition of a Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function and a continuous function with suitable domain and codomain will be Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function. Where so h of x. So what is h of x? So it is phi composition f of x, or it is phi of f of x. So for any x in the closed interval a comma b, f of x will be in the closed interval small m capital M, and for any point in this closed interval phi can be defined, and it is defined as its square. So f of x whole square. So f of x whole square is nothing but can be defined as the function f square. So for all x varying over the closed interval a comma b, h of x is nothing but f square of x. So that is the function h is nothing but f square on closed interval a comma b. So as h is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable, f square will be Riemann-Stieltjes integral. So therefore the function f square is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable on the closed interval a comma b. So now assuming f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable, so we proved f square is also Riemann-Stieltjes integrable, right? Now since f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable on the closed interval a comma b and g is also Riemann-Stieltjes integrable on the closed interval a comma b, we note that f plus g and f minus g, so both will be Riemann-Stieltjes integrable on the closed interval a comma b. So initially we have seen that sum and difference of two Riemann-Stieltjes integrable functions is again Riemann-Stieltjes integrable. So now f plus g and f minus g are Riemann-Stieltjes integrable functions on closed interval a comma b. Then by the above part, f plus g square f minus g square will also be Riemann-Stieltjes integrable on the closed interval a comma b, right? Because assuming any arbitrary function f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable, we proved that its square is also Riemann-Stieltjes integrable. Now f plus g and f minus g are Riemann-Stieltjes integrable functions, so f plus g square and f minus g square will also be Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function. But then as these two functions are Riemann-Stieltjes integrable, their sum will also be Riemann-Stieltjes integral, or you can consider the difference f plus g square minus f minus g whole square. So as these two functions are Riemann-Stieltjes integrable, their difference will also be Riemann-Stieltjes integrable, where what is the difference? We shall see. So note that. So what is f plus g whole square minus f minus g whole square? It is, so f plus g whole square is f square plus g square plus 2 into f into g, minus f minus g whole square is f square plus g square minus 2 into f into g. So it results in 4fg. So that is, we got 4f into g is a Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function on the closed interval a comma b. But so we know that whenever a function is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable, then its scalar multiple is also Riemann-Stieltjes integrable. So we have observed that. Now 4 into f into g, 4fg is a Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function, then any scalar multiple of it will also be Riemann-Stieltjes integrable. In particular, 1 by 4 times of 4 into f into g will also be Riemann-Stieltjes integrable on closed interval a comma b, or that is nothing but 4 gets cancelled, just we are remained with f into g. So f into g will be a Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function on the closed interval a comma b. So which completes the theorem. So assuming f and g are Riemann-Stieltjes integrable functions, we proved that their product is also Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function. And now a small observation. So in the previous theorem, to prove if f and g are Riemann-Stieltjes integrable functions, their product is also Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function. So in this theorem, assuming f is a Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function, we proved that its square is also a Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function. That is, f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable implies f square is also Riemann-Stieley integrable. So that is f is Riemann-Stieley integrable implies f square is also Riemann-Stieley integrable. But is the converse true? That is, if f square is a Riemann-Stieley integrable function, f is also Riemann-Stieley integrable. So that is the question, or that is the problem now. Prove or disprove that if f square is a Riemann-Stieley integrable function, then f is Riemann-Stieley integrable function. So we can prove or disprove it. If it is true in general, we have to prove it as a theorem. If it is not true, just we have to give a counterexample to show that even if f square is a Riemann-Stieley integrable function, f is not. So, and now we will prove that, we will disprove this result. That is, f square is Riemann-Stieley integrable will not imply f is Riemann-Stieley integrable. So we shall disprove the above result. That is for any function f square is Riemann-Stieley integrable will not imply that f is Riemann-Stieley integrable. So as an example, so to prove this, it is enough to give one counterexample. So consider a function f defined by, so f of x is defined to be 1 if x is rational, and f of x is defined to be -1 if x is irrational, right? So I'll define this for all x in over some closed interval a comma b, where a and b are some real numbers with a less than b. So for some closed interval a comma b, I'll define f of x to be 1 if x is rational and f of x to be -1 if x is irrational. So now we shall verify that. So square of this function is Riemann-Stieley integrable, but the function f is not Riemann-Stieley integrable, right? So clearly for any x in this range, f of x is minimum -1 and the maximum +1. So it cannot take any other value. So f of x will be greater than or equal to -1, less than or equal to +1, right? So f of x values cannot exceed this range. So that is, f is basically a real valued function which is bounded. It is bounded below by -1 and bounded above by +1. That is, f is a bounded real valued function on the closed interval a comma b. So it is a necessary condition for a function to be Riemann-Stieley integrable. Now we can talk about its Riemann-Stieley integrability, right? So note that consider its square function f square of x. So f square of x is nothing but f of x whole square, right? So what is f of x? F of x is either +1 or -1. It has only two possibilities. It is +1 whenever any point in this interval is rational. It is -1 if any point is irrational. So in any case, its square will be +1. So for all x in the closed interval a comma b, f square of x is always 1. So which being a constant function, is continuous, right? So for all x in this closed interval, f square of x is always 1. So it is a constant function and all constant functions are continuous. And hence f square is Riemann-Stieley integrable on the closed interval a comma b, because initially we have verified that all continuous functions are Riemann-Stieley integrable functions. So now f square being a constant function, it is continuous and hence it will be Riemann-Stieley integrable function. So this is because since any continuous function is Riemann-Stieley integrable. Riemann-Stieley integrable. Okay, so now we observed that f square is a Riemann-Stieley integrable function. Now we shall see f is not Riemann-Stieley integrable function. Now we shall prove that. Now we shall prove that f is not Riemann-Stieley integrable on closed interval a comma b. So now to verify that, let P be any partition. Let P be any partition of the closed interval a comma b. Now as f is basically bounded on the closed interval a comma b, so f is given to be bounded function on the closed interval a comma b. Now with respect to this partition, so the closed interval can be divided into subintervals x0, x1, x1, x2 like this. So as f is bounded on the whole closed interval a comma b, f will be bounded on each subinterval. So infimum and supremum exists. So we shall call those infimum and supremum as small mi and capital Mi. Let small mi be the infimum of f of x as x varies over the closed interval xi minus 1 xi, and capital Mi be supremum of all f of x as x varies over the closed interval xi minus 1 xi. So define it for all I, that is for all subintervals. Now what could be mi and small mi? So what is small mi? It is the infimum of all f of x. So in this closed interval xi minus 1 xi, so if you consider the f of x values, what is the minimum value and what is the maximum value? So we know that f of x can take only the possible values +1 and -1. So if x is a rational, its value f of x value will be 1. If x is an irrational, f of x value will be -1. So only -1 and +1, -1 +1, -1 +1 will repeat. So among these two, the infimum will be the smallest value. That is, it has to be the lower bound. So the smallest value will be -1. And whereas capital Mi, supremum means it is nothing but a maximum we have to take here. So the maximum of f of x will be, it will be +1. So capital Mi will be +1 for all I. For all I. Now let alpha be any monotonically increasing function. Monotonically increasing function on the closed interval a comma b. So to talk about Riemann-Stieley integrability, we need some monotonically increasing function. So take some alpha. Then consider lower Riemann-Stieley sum of f with respect to partition P and monotonically increasing function alpha. So it is defined to be summation small mi into delta alpha I running from 1 to n. But for every I, the infimum is -1. So -1 into delta alpha I running from 1 to n. So -1 outside into summation delta alpha I. What is summation delta alpha I? It is alpha of b minus alpha of a. So for any partition P, the lower Riemann-Stieley sum is actually a constant, because the right hand side you can observe alpha of b minus alpha of a. So it is a constant. And what about the upper Riemann-Stieley sum? So we define it to be summation capital Mi into delta alpha I. But For all I, capital Mi is always 1. So 1 into delta alpha I running from 1 to n. So 1 is constant, take it outside. So we are remained with summation delta alpha I. So 1 into anything is itself, and summation delta alpha is alpha of b minus alpha of a. So we can observe which is also a constant. So this is also a constant value, and this is also a constant value. So that means for any partition P, lower Riemann-Stieltjes sum is also constant, the upper Riemann-Stieltjes sum is also constant. Then now to check the Riemann-Stieltjes integrability, we shall consider the lower Riemann-Stieltjes integral and the upper Riemann-Stieltjes integral. So what is the lower Riemann-Stieltjes integral of f? It is defined to be supremum of all lower Riemann-Stieltjes sums. But for any partition P, it is fixed. So we have to take the supremum of all lower Riemann-Stieltjes sums for varying partition. So by taking all possible partitions, you have to calculate the lower Riemann-Stieltjes sums and finally take the supremum of all those. But this argument says that for any partition P, lower Riemann-Stieltjes sum is constant. So this term is a constant. So supremum will be the same. So alpha of b minus alpha of a. And similarly, what will be the upper Riemann-Stieltjes integral? So it is defined to be infimum of all upper Riemann-Stieltjes sums for all possible partitions of closed interval a, b. So we have to take the infimum of all possible upper Riemann-Stieltjes sums and you have to take the infimum. But any upper Riemann-Stieltjes sum is alpha of b minus alpha of a, which is a constant. So all upper Riemann-Stieltjes sums are equal to alpha of b minus alpha of a. So their infimum will also be equal to alpha of b minus alpha of a. So call this as equation 2 and call this as equation 1. So now it is minus of alpha of b minus alpha of a, and this is alpha of b minus alpha of a. So from 1 and 2, we note that the lower Riemann-Stieltjes integral is not equal to the upper Riemann-Stieltjes integral. So hence, by the definition, we can say f cannot be Riemann-Stieltjes integrable on the closed interval a, b. So as the lower Riemann-Stieltjes integral is different from the upper Riemann-Stieltjes integral, so f cannot be Riemann-Stieltjes integral. So thus, we gave a counter example to show that f square is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable will not imply f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable. However, f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable implies f square is also Riemann-Stieltjes integrable, but the converse is not true in general. So to prove that, we use this counter example. So we showed that this function f is not a Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function, but its square is a Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function. So it shows that f square is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable need not imply f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable. So thus we shall conclude it. Thus f square is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable need not imply f is Riemann-Stieltjes integral. So by this I'll end up the video. So in this video, we verified that whenever f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function, its absolute function is also Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function. And whenever we have two Riemann-Stieltjes integrable functions, their product is also Riemann-Stieltjes integrable function. Wherein, in particular, we observed that f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable implies f square is also Riemann-Stieltjes integrable. But in general, f square is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable need not imply f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable. So these are the points which we discussed in this video.